number of press briefings and our press center. Now we have the spokesperson from the Ministry of Defense, Viktoria Kushnir, and also through Skype we will speak to Leonid Matyuhin. Morning, dear journalists. Morning, all. Happy to see you at this briefing. The Minister of Defense spoke at the meeting in the Parliament where he introduced the needs of the budget for the next year. The head of the ministry gave a proposal to approve the budget for the army, and that is 550 billion hryvnia. Planning the budget for the next year, we included needs to fight against the problems and to build a powerful army. The budget was 15 billion hryvnia for the last year, but a big part is necessary for the development of armed forces of Ukraine, to create new units and also to create new forces for special operations. To equip the Navy, which is redislocated for Crimea, procure armaments and equipment, and to train our armed forces. And the Minister paid attention that it is explained because there will be a growth of army. The army will be grown. The personnel, the man will be higher. We have now 233, but we'll plan to have 520. The Ministry of Defense prepared the draft law of Ukraine on amendments to the law of Ukraine on organizing the defense plan. The draft law verifies what the state must do in the field of military planning and adds to the new to those plan for short, mid-term and long-term program planning. We work on optimizing of armed forces of Ukraine for 2015-2017, which will identify the number of activities, how to reform Ukrainian armed forces. The tentative plan will be in February 2015. The main goal of reforming armed forces of Ukraine is to build efficient, mobile, well-equipped armed forces and that are trained and provided armed units which can, together with other units with the Ministry of Interior, to provide defense of the state. In the perspective structure of armed forces of Ukraine, they will be divided into they will be broken down by the readiness, reserve, reaction, and the standing. Reaction, they will be responsible for the border and to holding and liquidation of armed conflicts and to provide development of armed forces when there is aggression. Growing forces that will be responsible for improvement of the capacity of armed forces of Ukraine, and in order to respond to military aggression. The reserve forces that will be responsible for territorial defense and also for other tasks in order to renew sovereignty and territorial integrity of the state. Because experience received during the priority in the field of reorganization of armed forces of Ukraine is creation of special operations forces. Armed forces of Ukraine will continue to get from state enterprises new and modernized samples of equipment and ammunition. During the last week, units of radioactive battle and air forces and land forces 12 standards of optical electronic suppression, 10 scanning devices, and 29 sets of devices for tanks bullet. In order, they received 1,318 bullet-proof jackets, 1,400 jackets, home jacket, 1,000 warm trousers, 1,300 boots, warm boots and special boots. 6,290 sets of warm and 30,000 of underwear, warm underwear, 633 tons of petrol, 7,737 tons of diesel, 2,757 tons of aircraft gas, 2.3 tons of property, and we renewed several units of tanks and armed vehicles. The brigades Of armed forces fixed, 17,968 units of ammunition. From them, 573 units of missiles, artillery, 3,785 anti-tank armed vehicles, 11,940 units of automobile equipment, vehicles, 67 planes. And Dnipropetrovsk plant, it is the repair is financed by volunteers, and they raised money, and they fixed and provided to 80 or 15 units of armed vehicles. Very soon, they plan to repair 40 vehicles for infantry, tanks, and Tungus missile systems. Dnipropetrovsk region units of land forces, they work on how to build the army, and also they shoot from ZU system on Zhytomyr, Novomoskovsky, and Yavr test fields. Paratroopers are trained intensively in tactical groups and units. Paratroopers, they developed their skills, how to respond to attacks, how to destroy columns of enemy, how to move back to prepare positions, and how to conduct a battle. During the lessons, they take into consideration military experience they achieved during ATO. Professionals of groups of civil military cooperation or armed forces of Ukraine prepare constructive dialogue between the units of armed forces of Ukraine that are in ATO and civilians in Luhansk and Donetsk regions. Among the most important issues of humanitarian assistance to education, healthcare, and social institutions, involvement of charity organizations to rehabilitate the victims because of terrorists and renovation of destroyed infrastructure.
According to the head of the operation group, the local citizens who reside on the liberated territories believe that Ukrainian army is their real defender, but at the same time they require serious assistance. The groups of civil and military cooperation of the armed forces of Ukraine and Donetsk and Luhansk regions have supplied to the front line the humanitarian convoy with this free press and warm clothes. In Slavyansk, the officers of the group of civil military cooperation of the armed forces of Ukraine gave to the children's hospital the medicines to the amount of 10,000 hryvnias. Besides, the intensive care unit of the children's hospital received the modern diesel electric generator. This generator will help to supply the electricity to the unit, the patients of which are on artificial ventilation of lungs. The officers told the citizens in Velikonovoselivsky district of Donetsk Oblast how they should behave when they are crossing the checkpoints. And such actions are to be organized regularly. More than 300 Lviv soldiers returned home after they completed their tasks in the most difficult areas of Lugansk region. Immediately after the meeting, all the servicemen received short vacations. Today is 54 years of the 8th Regiment of the Special Purpose of Armed Forces of Ukraine. For more than half a year, the military of this regiment participated actively in military actions in the east of Ukraine. Most of the personnel of the 8th Regiment have stayed awards. The volunteers continue to provide active assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine. Only within the last month, the military in the ATO zone received military uniforms, sleeping bags, night vision equipment, and heat vision equipment worth several million hryvnias. Besides, the volunteers started actively giving to the front line the vitamin mixtures. The medical committee of the Association of the Volunteers at the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine initiated creating of the modern Ukrainian standard of military medical preparation. Volunteers approved the new list of the individual medical kit, which will include 12 objects, including the pills to make the water not poisonous. As part of the charity assistance, the Ukrainian citizens which are involved into the military conflict yesterday in the clinical department of Central Military Medical Center had organized the training for journalists which are operating in the zone of military actions. Now I would like to give the floor to the officer of the press center of anti-terrorist operation, Leonid Matyuhin, who will inform you about the events in ATO zone.
Так, звичайно, я перепрошую.
I'm sorry.
Дякую за уточнення.
Thank you for clarification.
То що буде виправлення ситуації?
Запише сили АТО здійснюють контрдиверсійні.
ATO forces do counter-attack measures. They fight with the banditism. Also, in the units of ATO forces, we check the issue of accommodation of the personnel and also supply of the ammunition and military equipment to enhance the professional skills. The personnel of the armed forces of Ukraine is training all the time. Near Mariupol, the troops were taught to counteract the enemy, and also they are working on the local area, so that is all as of now.
Леоніда, уточнююча інформація до вас по обстрілу, будь ласка, більш детально за останню добу.
Тут йому кажуть, а нам не чути.
Could you give information about shelling? Connection lost.
Його не чути.
Ну, тоді коротко я
Then briefly will inform you about the challenge during the day. During the Sutok illegal formations, they fired 7 times near Frunze, Orlovo, Ivanka, Chernukhina, and Airport Donetsk. Losses? We don't have losses among our soldiers. In general, since the beginning of ATO, we lost 917 military men. 3,318 were wounded. During all time of the operation. In Donetsk and Lugansk regions, everything is done according to the plan. Now it's time for questions. Closed airports. There is information that some airports were closed. Is it true that it's because military equipment will be provided to ATO using those airports? Thank you very much for that question, but this is outside of the competence of the Ministry of Defense. We don't have any information. We received information that they was closed just because of security issues, and according to the law of Ukraine for terrorism, SBU is responsible for that issue. No questions. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. See you next week.